Apple's trillion-dollar empire may be standing at the edge of its biggest shift since Steve Jobs died. Tim Cook built the world's most efficient machine, but that precision may now be the thing holding Apple back, crossing a multi-trillion milestone. But actually, the bigger headline isn't a number, it's succession. Tim Cook turns 65 soon. If this is closing night for the Cook era, what will Apple stand for after he's gone? And who gets to write the next chapter? Welcome back to the DR Pulse, where we stay on top of the trends, brands, sales, marketing, and business strategies shaping the world. Today, we're breaking down one of the most anticipated transitions in modern business, the end of the Tim Cook era at Apple. What's next for the brand that changed everything? Who carries its legacy forward? And can Apple ever make the world gasp again? When Steve Jobs passed in 2011, the world doubted Apple could survive. But Tim Cook didn't just keep the lights on. He built the world's first company to touch $3.8 trillion in market cap. Jobs was chaos and genius, the rebel artist. Cook was structure and discipline, the master architect. He transformed Apple's DNA, streamlined global supply chains, locked in profit margins most industries dream of, expanded beyond devices into services, Apple Music, iCloud, TV+, Fitness+, Arcade. Today, those recurring revenues make up over 25% of Apple's income. But with every quarter polished, every launch predictable, Apple also became safe. The company that once defined rebellion became the gold standard of control. And that's where the cracks begin. Not in revenue, but in relevance. Enter Ternus, Apple's quiet powerhouse. He's the current senior VP of hardware engineering, and according to Bloomberg and insiders, Cook's most likely successor. He's been with Apple since 2001, long before the iPhone even existed. He built the Mac renaissance, led the shift to Apple Silicon, and shaped the devices that dominate your desk and pocket today. M1, M2, M3 chips, that's his team. At 50, he mirrors Cook's age when he took over, but with a very different energy. Where Cook is a diplomat, Ternus is a builder. Where Cook optimizes, Ternus iterates and experiments. Inside Apple, he's known for staying in the engineering trenches, walking into design labs, testing prototypes, asking questions instead of giving orders. He's the kind of leader that pushes technology to speak for itself. No theatrics, just proof. Maybe that's exactly what Apple needs next, a recalibration from spreadsheets to spirit. Under Cook, Apple became the most operationally perfect company in the world. Margins were tuned, supply chains choreographed, investors confident. But here's the cost of perfection: predictability. Innovation turned incremental. Excitement gave way to expectations. A Ternus-led Apple could disrupt that rhythm. He's rumored to champion engineering-led creativity, smaller, faster-moving internal teams, freer from marketing-driven cycles. Think shorter feedback loops, more experimental prototypes, and faster leaps in emerging tech. Signs are already there. Apple reportedly poised a low-cost Vision Pro to shift focus to lightweight AR glasses, a Misha product meant to blend daily life with spatial computing. That's not a Cook move, that's a builder's bet. If successful, this marks the first post-iPhone platform shift under new leadership. If not, it could be Apple's most expensive experiment yet. And that's the tightrope Apple will walk: innovation versus perfection. For decades, Apple's power wasn't its space, it was its story. Think different wasn't just a slogan, it was a promise. Under Cook, that emotional storytelling evolved into corporate storytelling. Brand trust, reliability, sustainability, privacy. All those values mattered. But somewhere along the way, wonder got replaced with predictability. The audience stopped gasping. They started forecasting. When you can predict a product launch 6 months early, surprise, the magic dust of branding starts to fade. That's the challenge every mature brand faces. How do you keep people emotionally engaged when they already know you'll deliver? Apple's answer has always been design that feels human. And the next leader's challenge is to rediscover that emotional curve, to bring back awe without losing trust. To stay iconic for decades, Apple and every brand must live by 3 truths. 1. Innovation must feel earned. Real innovation doesn't chase trends. It solves human friction in a way that feels inevitable. The iPhone, the AirPods, the MacBook trackpad, they all feel like natural evolution once you saw them. That's Apple genius, turning complexity into clarity. 2. Consistency builds credibility. Cook's greatest gift wasn't innovation. It was trust. Apple's customers believe in the brand because every product works, every update arrives, and every detail feels considered. In a world of disposable tech, that's rare. 3. Culture shapes relevance. When a brand stops listening, it stops leading. Jobs built Apple around intuition, solving needs people hadn't voiced yet. Ternus will need to rebuild that cultural radar, blending data, instinct, and user empathy. These 3 truths separate temporary hype from lasting legacy. They're exactly what's at stake as Apple prepares for its next act. Leadership defines energy. Jobs led with emotion. He made Apple fearless. Cook led with discipline. He made Apple dependable. Ternus could lead with curiosity, making Apple inventive again. The way leaders think, the tone they set, ripples through product strategy, marketing, even design ethos. If Apple embraces curiosity as its new core, experimentation, openness, creative collision, it could reinvent not just its products, but its purpose, because curiosity is what built Apple in the first place. Right now, Apple is stable, maybe too stable. Its revenue machine runs on predictability: iPhones, Macs, wearables, services. But in an AI-saturated world, that formula is nearing its limit. Consumers don't want more specs, they want smarter experiences. And Apple's next leader must position the brand not just as a hardware maker, but as an invisible companion, the brand that quietly understands your needs before you speak them. So what does a post-Cook Apple look like? It could be a company rediscovering experimentation, wearables that feel like fashion, AR that integrates seamlessly into daily life, AI features that enhance creativity, not replace it, and design that feels bold again, not safe. Expect fewer grand reveals and more constant reinvention. Expect Apple to chase the next emotional frontier, not just performance charts. It's easy to see Apple through its leaders, Jobs, Cook, maybe Ternus next. But Apple's real story isn't about them. It's about us. The feeling of connection between human and machine. That feeling when something just works, when technology disappears and experience takes over. That's the soul of Apple. And that's what must survive every leadership change. The lesson? Great brands don't fear change, they define it. Tim Cook built Apple's empire. Now it's time for Apple to rediscover its imagination. Because success without surprise is survival, not legacy. Do you think Apple's next era will bring back its magic or just double down on control? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the DR Pulse for more deep dives into sales, marketing, business, technology, and the future of industry.